Hello and welcome. We come to you from an undisclosed location. This is Murder Incorporated. I am Buddy.
And this is Harley.
And here we go. So what are we talking about today?
Well, today we're going to be talking about Amelia Dyer.
This is an old one.
Yeah, this is an old one. This is from the 1890s.
This is one that I found. That was I was rather disturbed when I found it. So just quick warning for those that aren't comfortable with a lot of death. This has got a lot of death in it.
Yeah.
I don't even know the full story. I just found her. I was like, wow, we got to do this one. And Harley's like, yep, let's do it.
Yeah, cool. This one is, it's a doozy. Let me just say, it's a doozy.
Yeah, so.
All right. So this week we're covering Amelia Dyer, a real winner, maybe England's most notorious serial killer. On March 30th, 1896, a parcel weighted down with a brick was fished out of the River Thames in Reading. Inside, swaddled in layers of linen, newspaper, and brown paper, was the partially decomposed body of a baby, Abelena Fry.
Jeez.
White tape had been around her neck with a knot under the left ear. She had clearly been killed. It was gruesome discovery, but one which would lead detectives to unravel the crimes of one of the 19th century's most notorious child killers. All right, let's start from the beginning. Amelia was born in 1836 in a small village east of Britton Marsh in England. To understand her crimes, I think it's important to understand the time in which she was living. During this time, the Victorian era, religion was pushed into people's lives to live up to a higher standard.
Yeah.
This was the time where medical science was also getting into cocaine and opiates to treat anything and everything. Some things never change.
That's the truth.
Okay, back to our dear Amelia Dyer, who was at this time known as Amelia Hobley, or Hobley. Amelia was a wonderful student, and once she learned to read and write, she had a great love for the literary arts. She was more lucky than most at this time, with her father being a master shoemaker. They had a great reputation, even farther out than his own village. They were well off, they had money, and she wasn't living in poverty or nothing like that. She had a good childhood. I mean, semi-good until this. Her mother developed typhus when Amelia was a child, and soon succumbed to fits and bouts of extreme mental instability. Amelia was expected to tend to her ailing parent, enduring her violent rages and frequently being beaten.
Oh, that's always tough.
Yeah. Amelia cared for her until her death in 1848, after which she lost contact with most of her family, and married George Thomas, a man 35 years older than her. Now she was Amelia Thomas. The pair had one child together before George Thomas passed away. Finding herself single and with a newborn, Dyer desperately needed income. During her marriage, she had trained as a nurse with a midwife, Ellen Danes, who had taught her about baby farming. Baby farming was big at this time. However, Dyer would take it much farther.
What is baby farming? Okay.
I'll get to it. When Dyer would take it much, much farther into a much, much darker place. Danes made her living as a baby farmer. When Amelia was left widowed and with a young child in 1869, she realized that she could make a much better living taking in illegitimate children. Baby farming as an industry received a huge boost when in 1834, the Act of Parliament absolved men of any responsibility towards their illegitimate children. This left unmarried mothers in a terrible predicament.
Yeah.
So for most of them, there was only three choices: starvation, the workhouse, or a baby farm.
Jeez.
This put all of the responsibility, moral, economical, and legal, on the woman, who no longer had a claim to the man. For those of you who don't know what baby farming is, here it is.
There you go.
You have a child, and the father leaves you unwed and with this baby, and you have no means to take care of it. You would then be reading the paper and see that for a fee, someone would find a proper home for your baby, and that there are many couples out there in need of a baby, or a well-off family that would like to keep a birth a secret would reach out to a woman such as Amelia. Thinking these babies would be going to a proper family, this was not always the case though, because in the back of their minds, they must have known, and most of the time, that the baby wasn't going to any great place, and this was just a way to get rid of the baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Jeez.
And no longer be tied to it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Just absolved of their responsibilities, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. They just couldn't handle it. It was cold, cold times these were for young babies with no chance at all for life. Amelia was one of the many baby farmers when in reality they were baby disposal sites. The babies would be drugged with opium-laced syrup, known to Amelia as Mother's Friend, to curb their hunger until they would finally waste away and die of malnutrition.
Oh, jeez.
This drug was also good at keeping the many unfed and ignored babies quiet. For the women that were expecting a good home for their baby, this must have been horrifying when they sent letter after letter to find out about the baby's well-being to be ignored over and over again. Too afraid and ashamed to go to the police to report any wrongdoing, they would do nothing.
Wow.
For some time, Amelia eluded the police. Years and years. She was eventually caught in 1879 after a doctor was suspicious about the number of child deaths he had been called to certify in Dyer's care. However, instead of being convicted of murder or manslaughter, she was sentenced to 6 months hard labor for neglect. Now this I found interesting, okay? So she was only sentenced to 6 months. For this whole story could have ended right here. She could have gotten the gallows for these babies. It's just like nobody understands why this happened. Why did she only get 6 months? It's just unbelievable.
So she was caught for murdering children already.
Well, she only got the neglect.
She only got neglect.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how they got her, because that's how she got it. She only got neglect. Mm-hmm. When really there was babies dying. You know what I mean? There was babies dying, but it was of neglect, not anything. When it wasn't, it was malicious, but they're trying to say, well, it's not malicious.
Different times, I guess.
Yeah, but at this time, you could be hung for the littlest thing. This is just crazy. She got 6 months hard labor. And this hard labor was, let me say, this is hard labor, okay? So what she was doing was they had these big ropes, like that for the boat's anchors, those huge ropes. Mm-hmm. And you'd be taking apart the little strands all day just to get the one strand, you know what I mean? Yep. All day with your finger. And after an hour, they said your fingers are bleeding. And they make you do it all day. That was the hard labor. And this experience allegedly almost destroyed her mentally. Though others have expressed disbelief at the leniency of the sentence when compared to those handed out for lesser crimes at the time, which I said. Amelia was at the time in and out of mental institutions also. And one serious suicide attempt, drinking 2 full bottles of laudanum, which if it wasn't for her already hard opium-based drug abuse, would have surely killed her. Mm-hmm. She was at this time using laudanum daily, which was basically an opium-based alcohol that could be easily bought over the counter, and it was even cheaper than wine.
Wow.
Yeah, this was a crazy time. After this latest arrest in 1880, due to the doctor turning her in, she decided, screw the death certificate, I'll dispose of the bodies myself. She also relocated frequently to avoid suspicion and took up the use of aliases. This is a wicked woman we were talking about here, living a wicked life and doing the devil's work.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe this woman. I really don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
I believe that after the death of her husband, something happened, snapped inside of her, and she started to kill. Mm-hmm. It's just like, I don't know what it was, but I don't know.
Yeah, but
if she was married, she had a normal life, she was a nurse, she was doing good in the world. It seemed like she was going to be good. Yeah, she lost it.
To do things like this is just, it's awful. It's atrocious. It's not even thinkable, let alone, you keep going.
Upon her release, she placed more ads for a safe home and continued to collect payments for watching infants. Ooh. In the event that a child she had killed actually had parents that wanted it back, she would just give them another baby. Yeah. She would wrap the bodies in cloths and then bury them, or drop them in the river, or hide them throughout town. She also killed them in many different ways as to not establish a pattern.
Wow.
Yeah, she's vicious. She was also moving around so much that the police or parents would have a hard time to find her. She never stayed in a place too long. As soon as the heat got on her and too many parents were coming at her, she'd just leave and change her name. She would change her. That's why I'm just calling her Amelia throughout the whole story, because her last name changes 10 times.
Wow. So she had it down already, which is just sickening. This lady, whoa.
Unbelievable. Man. Usually at the point in the story, you hear about some smart detective that was like onto her and building a case, you know what I mean? But sadly, this just wasn't the case. The truth of the reality is, not many people were looking for these babies.
Where's Sherlock Holmes in this? Come on now.
Yeah. And for those that were, it was a moot point. Yeah. As she was bringing the babies into her home, very quickly she was outright murdering these babies. She used dressmaker's tape. Okay, so this stuff, it would be used to line the front of blouses for buttons. It looks exactly like it sounds. It's just white tape.
Okay.
It was used in so many different ways that her having it and buying such a large amount raised virtually no questions at all. Over the years, her addiction to laudanum was not helping her sanity any.
No.
And she must have been quite the mess emotionally and physically. The year is 1895, and Amelia needed some help shutting the babies up that were alive, yet not murdered or starved to death. Here comes Jane Smith, a 70-year-old living in a workhouse. She met her when she herself was at the workhouse for a short amount of time. The workhouse was no joke. You lived there, and you only stopped working when you were actually physically incapacitated and sent to the infirmary.
Oh, jeez.
It mattered not your age nor your ability. You were working all day and night. So here's Jane, who had lost everything when her husband passed away and she had lost her own 3 children. She was naive and vulnerable, perfect for Amelia. Right for the picking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amelia didn't have to work that hard at getting Jane Smith to come work for her and take care of the babies. It was either come live with her and care for the babies or go back to the workhouse, which was to say, to the least, not desirable.
Yeah. I mean, it's an easy choice there.
Yeah, because she thought she was going to live out the rest of her days in the workhouse. Yeah. And now there's this opportunity to go to a home, have your own room, you know.
Yeah, life definitely would be easier. Or so she thought.
Yeah. Now, Jane Smith, and she called her Granny, so we'll call her Granny from here on out.
Okay.
So Granny may have been complicit in these crimes, but for her part, she genuinely cared for these infants. There was just too many mouths to feed and not enough food. The same problem over and over. The course of there was the mystery of the babies abruptly going missing. Of course, there was the mystery of the babies abruptly going missing. They're there 1 minute and gone the next. People talk about Granny as a simpleton that knew nothing. I'll tell you what she did know is that it was either deal with the missing babies and accept Amelia's stories of how and why the babies went missing or go back to the workhouse.
Well, yeah, she didn't want to go back to the workhouse, so, I mean, it was kind of an easy choice for her.
She just looked the other way.
I don't know, exactly.
She looked the other way, you know what I mean? Like,
what kind of person
okay, maybe the parents really did come pick up that baby and, it's not in the river.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think she was killing these babies with her. I don't think that was the case. I think she ignored the signs, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to see it. You're going back to the workhouse. It's torture.
Ignorance is bliss.
Ignorance is bliss. Exactly. So in January 1896, Granny had enough and went to the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children and reported her ass.
Okay, good.
Yep. So they went to her house at 45 Kensington Road. The man sent to the house said the house was clean, yet scarcely furnished, and there was one baby that stood out that was horribly malnourished. This baby just looked sick, looked like it was about to die.
Yep.
So he turned her in for it.
Okay.
Amelia, now under the eye of the NSPCC, she was furious. She didn't know that it was Granny, but she knew somebody turned her in. She was pissed. They would be back for more checkups now, and this was not good for business. Also in January 1896, Abelena Marman, a popular 25-year-old barmaid, gave birth to an illegitimate daughter named Doris. She saw offers of adoption and placed an ad in the miscellaneous section of the Bristol Times and Mirror newspaper. It simply read, "Wanted, respectable woman to take a young child." Marman intended to go back to work and hoped to eventually reclaim her child. Serendipitously, next to her ad was an ad that read, "Married couple with no family would love to adopt a healthy child, nice country home. Terms £10. So this, just so that you guys know, we'll put the £10 into our magic fairy calculator. £10 is $1,000 in nowadays money.
Okay.
So $1,000 basically. And Marman responded to Mrs. Harding, that's what she went by at this time, Mrs. Harding's ad. And a few days later, she received a reply from Dyer, Amelia, from Oxford Road in Reading. Mrs. Harding wrote that I should be glad to have a dear baby girl, one I could bring up and call my own. She continued, "We are plain, homely people, in fairly good circumstances. I don't want a child for money's sake, but the company and home comfort. I and my husband are dearly fond of children. I have no child of my own. A child with me will have a good home and a mother's love." She wanted to pay a weekly fee to have someone care for the baby until she was better off to take the baby back and care for it on her own. But Mrs. Harding insisted on a one-time payoff, so she reluctantly paid the £10. Abelena was shocked when she met Amelia, though. Didn't sound like her letters, and her old age and the fact that she looked like someone that would take the baby and kill it. If you see these pictures of Amelia, you know, she looks wicked.
She's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, she looks like a devil.
But Amelia, being the clever psychopath that she was, completely conned this woman into giving up this baby and giving her the money. Instead of traveling to Reading, she immediately went to her daughter's house in Williston, found some edging tape like she had so many times before, wrapped it around the baby's throat, and watched as the life drained from this poor baby's face.
God.
This part she enjoyed. She said of this, "I used to like to watch them with the tape around their necks, but it was soon all over with them."
Oh my God.
I mean, if that's not just
That's
pure
terrifying.
evil, it really is.
What? How could you just do that?
Like, I don't even like babies. Don't get me wrong. I don't like babies. I'm not a baby guy.
Yeah.
But to do something like
Babies
this,
are tough. Babies are tough, but it doesn't.
like to
No.
like, don't get me wrong. I mean, I could see if you got 20 babies in a room all day crying, and you know what I mean. I could see snapping just one day, snapping and like killing them all. I could see that mentally, but then to go on and get more babies and do it again
You're
and
just
again.
sick. There's something wrong inside you that just to enjoy killing a baby is just evil.
Pure evil.
Pure evil.
That's why I said she's really doing the devil's work. It's like unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay, so both women allegedly helped to wrap the body in a napkin. They kept some of the clothes Abelena had packed. Amelia paid the rent to the unwitting landlady and gave her a pair of child's boots as a present for her little girl.
Oh my God.
So she gave her the baby's boots.
Oh my God.
The following day, Wednesday, the 1st of April, 1896, another child named Harry Simmons was taken to Mile Road. However, with no spare white edging tape available, the length around Doris's corpse was removed and used to strangle the 13-month-old boy.
Jeez.
Before these parents were even home after giving her the baby was dead. You know, it's unbelievable. On April 2nd, both bodies were stacked into a carpet bag along with bricks for added weight. Amelia then headed for Reading.
I think I know why people haven't done this one yet.
Yeah. At a secluded spot she knew well near a weir at Caversham Loch, she forced the carpet bag through the railing into the River Thames. This is a good example of how many dependent infants looking to her for life met their fate. Unbeknownst to Amelia, on March 30th, 1896, a package was retrieved from the Thames at Reading by a bargeman. The package Dyer dumped was not weighted adequately and had been easily spotted. It contained the body of a baby girl, later identified as Helena Fry. In the small detective force available to Reading Borough Police, Detective Constable Anderson made a crucial breakthrough, and this was crucial. As well as finding a label from the Temple Mead Station, Bristol, he used microscopic analysis of the wrapping paper and deciphered a faintly legible name, Mrs. Thomas.
Oh, really?
And that was another one of her aliases at this time.
Yeah.
And the best part, it had an address.
Ooh.
Yep. So that's really good. He's like on to her now, you know.
Yeah.
The evidence was enough to lead police to Amelia, but they still had no strong evidence to connect her directly with any serious crime, you know. Additional evidence they gleaned from witnesses and information obtained from Bristol police only served to increase their concerns, and DC suggested that Dyer, Amelia, would abscond if she came at all under suspicion, which he was correct. The officers decided to use a young woman as a decoy, hoping she would be able to secure a meeting with Amelia to discuss her services.
Okay.
This may have been designed to help the detectives to positively link Amelia to her business activities, or it may have been simply to give them a reliable opportunity to arrest her. I don't know. It transpired that Dyer, Amelia, was expecting her new client, the decoy, to call, but instead she found detectives waiting on her doorstep. So April 3rd, the police raided her home. They were struck by the stench of human decomposition, although no human remains were found. There was, however, plenty of other related evidence, including white edging tape, telegrams regarding adoption arrangements, pawn tickets for children's clothing, receipts for advertisements, and letters from mothers inquiring about the well-being of their children. So there's quite a bit of evidence they're finding, circumstantial evidence.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. The advertisements and letters from mothers inquiring about the well-being of their children. The police calculated that in the previous few months alone, at least 20 children had been placed in a few months. 20 children had been placed in the care of Mrs. Thomas, now revealed to be Amelia. It also appeared that she was about to move home again, this time to Somerset. The rate of murder has led some to estimate, and I think it's more, but this is like the number that I found, that over the decades, she killed over 400 babies and children.
Oh my God.
I think it's more. They said that if she killed one a month for the 30 years, it'd be like 400 children. And she's killing a couple every day.
Yeah, she's killing more than one a month. She definitely is.
Even if she killed one a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's, what is that? 1,200 babies. Yeah. So it's 1,000 babies. That's my number, is 1,000 babies she killed, at least.
My stomach's turning.
And my stomach really is turning right now. Like, just to think about somebody that could do that to an innocent baby. And they gave her the perfect moniker for this girl. They called her the Angel Maker. Yeah. That's what she was called at this time, the Angel Maker. So Amelia was arrested on the 4th of April and charged with murder. During April, the Thames was dredged and 6 more bodies were found, including Doris Marman and Harry Simmons, her last 2 victims. 11 days after handing her daughter to Amelia, Abelena Marman identified her daughter's remains. So sad, so sad. She was going to come back for that kid, you know what I mean? She had every right to come back for the kid. And
absolutely.
Before she even got home that night, the baby was dead. You know, it's just so sad. So sad. At the inquest into the deaths in early May, no evidence was found that Mary Ann or Arthur Palmer had acted as Amelia's accomplices. Arthur Palmer was discharged as a result of a confession written by Amelia Dyer. In red and gold, she wrote, and I'm leaving it exactly how she wrote it, so this is her letter. Sir, will you kindly grant me the favor of presenting this to the magistrates on Saturday the 18th instant? I have made this statement out, for I may not have the opportunity that I must relieve my mind. I do know, and I feel my days are numbered on this earth, but I do feel it is an awful thing drawing innocent people into trouble. I do know I should have to answer before my Maker in heaven for the awful crimes I have committed. But as God Almighty is my judge in heaven and on earth, neither my daughter Mary Ann Palmer nor her husband Alfred Ernest Palmer, I do solemnly declare neither of them had anything at all to do with it. They never knew I contemplated doing such a wicked thing until it was too late, and I am speaking the truth and nothing but the truth, as I hope to be forgiven. I and I alone must stand before my Maker in heaven to answer it all. Witness my hand, Amelia Dyer, April 16th, 1896. Complete bullshit.
Yeah.
Complete bullshit. I think they 100% knew. You know what I mean? You there's no way you could be around her and not know what she's up to. There's no way. I mean, she's always carrying around these packages. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and she's
dropping them into the river. I mean, I don't understand how her family didn't know. Like, I don't buy that at all. She was just trying to give them an out at the end. You know. The only defense that she had was that of insanity, for she admitted to anything and everything that she had done. Look for the white tape around the necks, and that's how you know it's mine. That's what she told him. Unbelievable. Like, oh, it's giving me goosebumps. However, the prosecution argued successfully that her exhibitions of mental instability had been employed to avoid suspicion. Both committals were said to have coincided with times when Amelia was concerned her crimes might have been exposed. It took the jury just 4.5 minutes to find her guilty.
Yeah.
So they prosecuted her on the one murder because they wanted, in case that she got acquitted on that one, they could charge her with the next one.
Yeah.
But she was found guilty of this, so they didn't charge her with both. So.
Wow. So this lady, I'm speechless, man.
Yeah, it really is crazy.
This is a tough one.
June 10th, 1896. Just 1 month after her arrest, she was hung by the neck until dead. Her last words, which usually are interesting, were, "I have nothing to say." And then they hung her.
That's an easy out.
Yeah, that's the end for Amelia Dyer.
They gave her an easy out.
Yep.
Like,
unbelievable.
Answer before your Maker? Yeah, come on now.
Yeah, I mean, I really believe that she killed 1,000 babies at least.
It makes sense. It makes sense that she killed more, and it's just so disgusting.
If in that one day she killed 2, you think it's the only time she's ever done that? No. You know what I mean? Come on.
No.
Like, they found... I mean, I just can't imagine being like, oh, God, like, on this river right now, and you're fishing, and you just, like, get, like, a white tape.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how spooky that would be? Oh, my God. Like, I'd be like, oh, my God, I can't believe it's crazy.
I was thinking of worth like a hooked package or something.
Yeah. I'm sure it's happened. Oh, you know what I mean? In the years. I had to have.
Yeah, there's no question about it. This is just horrifying. I mean, I just want to say that I apologize for all those who started listening to this and just gotten, like, I don't know, disgusted, because I did listening to it.
Yeah.
And wow, like, I found this lady and I'm just like, this has got to be done. This lady is horrifying, and I wasn't expecting this story to really hit me like this. But
yeah, this is a tough one. This is not one to make jokes. Really, this is not. It's just it's so sad.
Yeah.
It's so freaking sad. I don't even know what else to say. Like these kids, it's like you just think like, what could they have been? What would the world be if these kids had grown up? You know what I mean? Like, you have no idea. They could have been another Shakespeare, another Einstein, or even if they were just a janitor doing nothing, you know what I mean? Like something like I do, you know what I mean? Like
they could have done a lot for the world. You never
it's just
know.
crazy.
And once again, we get to the point where they were caught early and released.
Yeah, it always happens. Always happens.
And it's just, it could have been stopped if it was just seen by the right people, the right eyes.
Absolutely. I mean, they had a chance to stop her right in the beginning. They should have hung her the first time.
Yeah.
They really should have hung her the first time. And then she goes on to kill 800 more babies after that, or whatever the number is. It's hundreds and hundreds. I mean, the number 400, I believe, is low. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I hope I'm wrong. Don't get me wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's less.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but I just don't believe that. I don't think that she was killing only one a month. You know? So that's the story of Amelia Dyer.
Yeah. That is a story. And, I mean, what do we say about this one? It's just sick. It's disgusting. And this woman is the angel maker. I mean, this is times where I really hope there's a God so she can be damned to hell and be in the worst area.
Me too. I
mean, it's just because people like this, they need to know what they did wrong. And who the hell knows? I mean, where is she now? You know?
Yeah. I hope
if there's no heaven and hell, then she just did all this for nothing. You know? And
it's so true. It's so true.
It's terrifying to know that these people, that there are people out like that out there. I mean, hopefully something like that never happens again. But I mean, back in the 1800s, you know, we didn't have the evidence, we didn't have the ability to find people like this.
And after this, there was like demands for things to be changed in the workhouses or the baby farms, and you know, and then they found later on that, like maybe a couple years later, they busted another baby farm, and who was it registered to? Her daughter.
Oh, jeez.
And so
was your daughter doing the same thing?
Yeah, she was doing the same thing. So they knew what was going on.
They
not doing the same thing like killing the babies, but neglecting them.
Neglecting
them. You know, she got charged of that, but like it's just crazy. She got away with it, but it's so crazy. You know what I mean? She was not the only one doing this either.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Don't get me wrong. She definitely was not the only one doing this. There was babies washing up constantly.
Yeah, they were just making money off them.
Yeah, they would take the money, and it's just easier to kill them.
Yep.
The quicker you kill them, the less money you're going to have to spend feeding them.
Yeah.
You know, it's so sick. It's so sick. Oh my God. All right, well, I think that's it for me, man.
Yeah.
That was a good episode.
Yeah.
And we hope that you guys will rate us and review us on iTunes and Stitcher and whatever you're listening to us on.
Yeah, please do.
And visit our Facebook. It's Murder Incorporated. Same with our Twitter handle is Murder Incorporated. And come see us, you know. Stop and say hi. Give us any input that you have. You know, if you have an episode that you want us to do, let us know. You know,
let us know. We definitely want to hear from you.
We definitely want to hear from you guys. You know, I really want to do this podcast. We want to do this podcast, and we want to make it really the people that are listening, the listeners' podcast. So if you guys have stuff that you want us to do, don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah, we're all about hearing about what you guys think about it, what we can do better.
Yeah.
What you want to hear.
What you want to hear, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, guys. Have a good week.
Thank you. And I hope you all enjoy it.